Alrighty, how to attract to yourself the things you desire. The power within you, which enables you to form a thought picture, is the starting point of all there is. In its original state, it is the undifferentiated formless substance of life. Your thought picture makes the model, so to say, into which this formless substance takes shape. Visualizing or mentally seeing things and conditions as you wish them to be is the condensing, the specializing power in you, which might be illustrated by comparison with the lens of a magic lantern, which is one of the best symbols of the imagining faculty. It illustrates the idea of the working of the creative spirit on the plane of initiative and selection, or in its concentrated specializing form in a remarkably clear manner. The picture slide illustrates your own mental picture, invisible in the lantern of your mind until you turn on the light of your will. That is to say, you light up your desire with absolute faith that the creative spirit of life in you is doing the work. By the steady flow of the light of the will on the spirit, your desired picture is projected upon the screen of the physical world, an exact reproduction of the pictured slide in your mind. A woman came to me for help to cause her husband to return to her. She said she was very unhappy and lonely without him and longed to be reunited. I told her she could not lose love and protection because both belonged to her. She asked what she should do to get her husband back again. I told her to follow the great power of intuition and think of her husband as perfectly free and the embodiment of all that a husband should be. She went away quite happy, but returned in a few days to tell me that her husband desired a divorce in order to marry again. She was quite agitated and had evidently relaxed her will in following the instructions given at the former interview. Again, I told her to hold constantly in her mind that the loving protection of the spirit of life would guide her in perfect happiness. A month later, she came again and said that her husband had married the other woman. This time, she had completely lost her mental grip. I repeated the words for her as before, and she regained her poise. 2 months later, she came back to me full of joy. Her husband had come to her begging her forgiveness and telling her what a terrible mistake he had made, as he could not be happy without her. They are now living happily together, and she at least learned the necessity of holding her pictured desires steadily in place by the use of her will. Visualizing without a will sufficiently steady to inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to your pictured thought would be as useless as a magic lantern without the light. On the other hand, if your will is sufficiently developed to bold your picture in thought and feeling without any ifs, simply realizing that your thought is the great attracting power, then your mental picture is as certain to be projected upon your physical world as a picture slide put into a magic lantern shows on the screen. Try projecting the picture in a magic lantern with the light that is constantly shifting from one side to the other, and you will produce the effect of an uncertain will. It is as necessary that you should always have back of your picture a strong, steady will as it is to have a strong, steady light back of a picture slide. Someone else want to read for a bit? This is really quite difficult to read.
Okay, I can I can go ahead.
Okay.
The joyous assurance with which you make your picture is a very powerful magnet of faith, and nothing can obliterate it. You are happier than you ever were because you have learned to know where your source of supply is, and you rely upon its never-failing response to the direction you give it. All said and done, happiness is the one thing which every human being wants, and the study of visualization enables you to get more out of life than you ever enjoyed before. increasing possibilities keep opening out more and more before you. A businessman once told me that since practicing visualization and forming the habit of devoting a few minutes each day to thinking about his work he desired it to be in a large, broad way, his orders had more than doubled in 6 months. His method was to go into a room every morning before breakfast and take a mental inventory of his business as he had left it the evening before, and then enlarge upon it. He said he expanded and expanded in this way until his affairs were in a remarkably successful condition. He would see himself in his office doing everything he wanted done. His occupation required him to meet many strangers every day. In his mental picture, he saw himself meeting these people, understanding their needs, and serving them in just the way they wished. This habit, he said, has strengthened and steadied his will in an almost inconceivable manner. Furthermore, by thus mentally seeing things as he wished them to be, he had acquired the confident feeling that a certain creative power was exercising itself for him and through him for the purpose of improving his little world. When you first begin to visualize seriously, you may feel, as many others do, that someone else may be forming the same picture you are, and that naturally would not suit your purpose. Do not give yourself any concern about this. Simply try to realize that your picture is an orderly exercise of the universal creative power specifically applied. Then you may be sure that no one can work in opposition to you. The universal law of harmony prevents that. Endeavor to bear in mind that the mental picture is universal mind specifically exercising its inherent powers of initiative and selection. God, or universal mind, made man for the special purpose of differentiating himself through him. Everything there is came into existence in the same way, by this same law of self-differentiation and for the same purpose. First came the idea, the mental picture or the prototype of the thing, which is the thing itself in its incipiency. The great architect of the universe contemplated himself as manifesting through his polar opposite, matter, and the idea expanded and projected itself until we have not only a world, but many worlds. Many people ask, but why should we have a physical world at all? The answer is because it is the nature of originating substance to solidify under directivity rather than activity, just as it is the nature of wax to harden when it becomes cold, or plaster of Paris to become firm and solid when exposed to the air. Your picture is the same divine substance in its original state, taking form through the individualized center of divine operation in your mind. And there is no power to prevent this combination of spiritual substance from becoming physical form. It is the nature of spirit to complete its work, and an idea is not complete until it is made for itself a vehicle. Nothing can prevent your picture from coming into concrete form except the same power which gave it birth, yourself. Suppose you wish to have a more orderly room. You look about your room, and the idea of order suggests boxes, closets, shelves, hooks, and so forth. The box and the closet and the hook are all concrete ideas of order because they are the vehicles through which order and harmony suggest themselves. The end.
Shall we do this one paragraph at a time?
Yeah, I think so, hey?
Yeah. So the first paragraph, the power within you which enables you to form the thought picture is the starting point of all there is. The original state, it is the undifferentiated formless substance to life. Your thought picture makes the model, so to say, into which this formless substance takes shape. So we know what the formless substance is.
Well, isn't that just universal? You know, like, it's everything.
Right. The formless substance is what Wallace
Oh,
Waddle talks about in The Science of Getting Rich, right? That it's
yeah.
everywhere. It's the ether or ether, I guess you say it, right? It's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. And when she says
Nicole, I have another Jackson. Good morning.
hello.
Good afternoon. I'm a little bit late. I have a good thing. I have a great addition. I didn't hear it, so that's why I'm saying universal, the substance that is us. We are it. So it's not something outside of us. It is us. So we are the space between. That is very important.
But I think it's like what Cheryl said from The Science of Getting Rich. You know, it's the ether. It's all the energy. And it's formless.
Yes, but it is us. It is us.
Yeah. Yes.
So we are that space between all those things. We are that space, because why I'm stressing it is when you understand that you are the space, then you can start making the particles dance. So there is nothing anymore than you. There is a lot of you, a lot of space, and there are only some particles, some small tiny particles, and your job is to make those particles dance like you want. And with dancing I mean, if you create a form of the villa, or a form of a ball, or a form of whatever, you can make the particles dance in that form. That's it.
Yep. And when she talks about undifferentiated, she's talking about the infinite possibilities in its original form. So we have the ability to shape or to determine what that infinite possibility is going to be through the picture in our mind. So the picture in our mind actually somehow formulates how those infinite possibilities are going to come together in a precise way. So we give it direction.
Yes. And Nicole, I just want to add that I don't know if that is also said in Psycho-Cybernetics or whatever, because in that book, because I don't know that book yet, but somebody says, we had a discussion where we said about the 0.001%, 0.001%, that is the matter, that is the particle, and the 99.999%, that's us, and then the form. So when you look at the form of matter, like concrete or one of the elements or gas or whatever, those elements, they are all the same. So they are all consisting of the same particle. The only thing which is different is that there are more electrons, or the electrons and the protons are in another orbit around us, about you, about the center, you see? So if you can, how do you make matter, or how do you make gold? If you know that, I am not able to do it yet, but if you say like gold, there are 20 particles running, then you only need to find 20 particles and let them dance in that combination, that form, and then you got gold. So whatever, there are a lot of possibilities, but in this universe there are, I think, about 60 kinds of stuff you can make your particles dance on. You see, so gold is the same as water, is the same as a table, is the same as the swimming pool. They are all the same. They only vibrate on another level. That's it.
All energy.
Yes.
It's how the energy is put together. Like thought is energy. And that the last sentence there, your thought picture makes the model, so to say, into which form of substance takes shape. So it's kind of like the last sentence of the previous paragraph says, you know that all you have to do is to start the plastic substance of the universe going into the thought molds your picture desire provides.
I'm just going to mute you, Rooney, because you've got some crackling happening. Just
Yeah, sorry. I'm back. I'm dressing up.
Yeah, so the thought picture makes the model, so to say, with which the formless substance takes shape. And that's where, you have that thought. And then you keep thinking about it and you turn it into an idea. You put that energy out, you visualize it, and the universe has to respond.
Yeah. And even in the very first sentence of this chapter, it says that it is the starting point. So the thought picture is the starting point of all there is. So it was the starting point of consciousness, formed a picture, and now we have a world with us living on it. And we have the power now to use our minds to create the thought picture, which then creates matter.
Yep. I like the next paragraph. Visualizing or mentally seeing things and conditions as you wish them to be is the condensing, the specializing power in which you might be illustrated by it was more the next paragraph. But I like the idea that if you focus your thoughts towards what you want, it's like having the mental picture without the light bulb. Like you need that light bulb. You need will. You need to direct the thought process, continuously or on a lot, not on a large scale, but on a regular basis to give order to your thoughts, and then the universe will respond. But if you sometimes think about it, and then you sometimes don't, and you think about it, then you're kind of you're just in a neutral space, and nothing, and then you wonder, why isn't this happening?
Yeah, and we've never really been taught to focus our thoughts. We're trained to read things and remember them and regurgitate them and use our mind in that way, but we haven't been taught to really control and focus our thoughts. I was listening to a recording the other day, and they were talking about how they put all of the headgear on people when they're meditating on the EEG machines, and they had some monks in there who have been practicing meditation and focused thought for 30 years, and they brought some people off the street and asked them to focus their thought, and the picture of the monk's mind, the frontal lobe just lit up like they had never ever seen before. They had such focused thought. The average Joe Blow off the street, when they tried to focus, they're thinking about what they had to cook for dinner and having to pick the kids up from school and what was going on at work and all these other things. They couldn't keep their mind focused on that one thought, and there was no areas of the brain that lit up.
I just think of a pinball machine.
Yeah.
The little ball. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, that's what we're like. And look how long it took those monks to train their minds. Well, I don't know, they may have already had that under control for several years, but it takes some exercise. It's like a skill that we have to relearn and set aside time each day to exercise focusing our thoughts.
Yeah, he says here, you have to turn on the light of your will. Yeah. And that the will being that, basically focused effort of your thought, like not just letting you unconsciously go through the day and your mind going wherever. It's like consciously controlling your thought. Yeah, which takes effort, which is will.
Yeah, and this is the key, isn't it? Why so many of us are not getting the results we really want, or that we're reading about other people getting in books and things, because they've been practicing using their will and their focus for a long period of time. And we need to get to that stage. You can't just read it, understand, and expect it to happen. You've got to exercise your mind and get that ability to focus for a period of time on one specific thing happening. You can't have your mind going all over the place. Well, we are creating. I think it's Rooney's. Sorry, Rooney, I'll just mute you again for a sec. You can't have your mind going all over the place and expect to manifest one single thing. You're going to be manifesting all of those other things that you're thinking about, which is what we're doing currently. We're perfectly manifesting everything that we're focusing on, but we're focusing on lots of things that we don't particularly want.
And I think someone was saying that if, you know, again, if you don't like the result of what's going on in your life, look inward, because it's your thoughts that have gotten you to where you are, good or bad. If that, I don't know if I said that in a way that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you don't like where you are in life, instead of being a victim, look at what your thinking has been and what you've attracted. A lot of people don't want to admit that, but that's the case.
Yeah.
Can I say something about the focus? Because the focus is very important. I have a strategy, and the strategy I thought about the strategy is, the first is laugh. It's a 3-step strategy. Laugh, and the second one is focus, and the third one is scale up. So laughing is when you see my business and you see me laughing is basically being grateful and being happy. So first, you cannot create anything if you are not happy and if you are grateful. And when you are grateful and happy, that means that then you can, you know, enter something like Hicks, Abraham Hicks, etc. They call it the vortex. I call it the room of love. We have seen that before. So then you can start creating. And the second one is focus, because you need to focus. Imagine that you are seeing a chair, but you are thinking about a horse, you're thinking about a car, you're thinking about everything but the chair. Now, the particles in the chair, so the particles of the chair is made of wood. And wood means, for instance, you have 35, I don't know for 35, but I will look it up. You have 35 particles running around around each proton. You see, it's like running. So 35. They have to run 35, and then you construct wood. But if you are focusing on a horse and other things, you will not get that 35 anymore, because a horse is not 35. A horse is maybe 5 of those things. So when you do not focus, you don't have a clear mindset, you cannot control the particles, and you cannot control them to be in sync. And what the monk did, those monks, they can only focus on that wood, and all their vibration and everything moves so that everybody, 35 particles running right now. And then you see it happening. You see, because you cannot think about wood, think about that. So what you're doing when you're focusing, and if you are focusing about the bad things which happen to you, then you are out of the room of a vortex. You cannot out of the room of love. You cannot create anymore. That process stops. So focus on that chair every day. That chair, make the chair beautiful, more beautiful. Ask for this chair, but another more upgraded chair. And then what you're doing is you are setting the frequency, and the frequency is how do the particles need to dance? How do they need to move? You understand? So that's the focus, the focus part.
So exercise the focus muscle.
Yes. And I was very bad in focus, because when you are very creative, you create a lot. So there are a lot of inspiration, a lot of things, but you don't need to, but it is good that you focus on one thing. Of all those things, you can dream, but that you put during the day, you focus on this thing. And the vision board, for instance, I am also in a vision board group, and I think Nicole is also there on Facebook. That vision board group, their only goal is about 15,000 people to create a vision, so that you always see that, and you see that in your phone, you see that in your car, you see that in your house. Focus. And I think also focus has to do with programming. So if you are building a routine, like this is how I do it, then you train, like Nicole says, you train your muscle. Because if you have a routine that you do all the time, the same time, then you will train that muscle. Now that routine cannot come if you don't have willpower. So willpower will help you say like, okay, I want to focus on this. And if you don't have willpower, that means that your light is going all places. You see, your light is going all places. You don't know. And if you have willpower, or when you use your willpower, your light will just focus strongly on the chair, only the chair. And if you have the routine, then you will continue twice a day or 3 times a day. I'm programming my mind. I'm programming the habit to focus the light. And during the day, I'm doing other stuff, but the routine makes me focus on the light. So I'm trying to create some habits. And what I learned about habits is you need to do it all over again like a robot. You need to do it like a machine. And by doing it like a machine, you are actually training your mind that your mind doesn't doubt it anymore. Your mind is just executing this program. Okay, I talk too much, but I have a lot to tell you, but that's what my contribution is. Sorry.
No, that's great. I was going to ask, do you think that meditation is a good way to help with focus?
I think meditation's a good way to help slow down your mind so that maybe you're more consciously aware and can make better choices instead of your mind just being all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also.
Yeah.
Nicole, I think when you meditate, most of the time you close your eyes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So my work, I'm an economist, but I realized, and I love models, economic models, but I realized that what I love is modeling. So modeling, understanding what is the pattern. Now, if you look at meditation, I would like you also to comment, but if you look at meditation, what is meditation? Meditation, the model of meditation is you close your eyes. Maybe you have 5 senses. So I think you close your eyes, you close your ears, you close your smell, you close your touch. So you close all your senses, but you open the 6th sense, which is intuition. So meditation is, the model of meditation is close yourself from the reality, from the world, and go inside. So that will help. That is already a good focus, because you had 6 senses, including intuition. I consider intuition the 6th sense. You have 6 senses, and now all the other ones are closed. Nobody can distract you, and you only are in your mind with inspiration or intuition. That's a great focus. So I think meditation is a kind of a model to get you to focus. And now you're alone now. Now you're alone with intuition, and maybe you have your higher faculties of imagination, willpower, etc., perseverance. So you are in this room now. What are you going to do? You can use imagination. You can use willpower to focus, and don't get distracted with the sounds in the background. You see? So that's why you can meditate. Now, I don't believe in meditation, something like, okay, sitting. Maybe you can do it as a routine, because the meditation now needs to become a habit. It is good that you keep the habit that you sit every day at night or in the morning for the routine. I have created a film about the routine, because the routine will help you with a habit. But I think you should be able to meditate during a meeting. You should be able to meditate during doing the dishwash. You should be able to meditate while you are jogging. You see? So while you're jogging, how can you meditate? Because you're closing your inside. Just look for the car and look for the for the bicycles, but meditation is closing the senses and going inside. I don't know if that model works for you.
Well, anyone can have, like, if you're a person who loves to garden, you know, it can be very meditative because you're completely present and focused on what you're doing. You know, I mean, so there's the act of meditating, you know, which is, like you said, kind of closing your mind and just kind of being present. But then, you know, for some people, they can get the same effect by, you know, gardening, or, you know, if they're into a good book or whatever, they can just shut out everything else and just have all their energy focused on what they're doing. But that's not meditate. That's more meditative.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I just explained the model of going inside, closing everything. But I think also if you have a passion, painting or making music or whatever, and it is your passion, so it is not a bad thing, but it is your passion, like gardening. That means that you are focusing on your passion, and inspiration will then come. But if you are gardening and you are thinking about the barbecue in the garden, then you are not. You see, so I think you are correct to say gardening and doing your passion is also meditating.
Yeah, and some people call it being in flow as well, and I find it happens during these studies for myself. I also paint, but I haven't done that for a while because I've been busy. But when I first sit down at the start of the study, I think to myself, okay, now I need to remember this, and I'm kind of a little bit all over the place. But by now, I'm focused on what's being said, and I'm focused on what's the meaning behind it, and I'm sure you all are as well. You get into the conversation and your mind starts to forget all about the other things, and you get into a flow and you start to understand it and remember different things coming together to bring it all together. You experience that as well with these studies, but I think the more, like by this stage, after 5 or 10 minutes, the focus is there a lot better. So it's kind of meditative as well.
When we were talking, we were like talking about the will, the importance of will, and I kept thinking, it's like, well, what about faith? I mean, you have to have faith. And then the next line, and I had it underlined, like, you light up your desire with absolute faith that the creative spirit of life in you is doing the work.
Yep. Yeah.
So I like that.
That's so important.
Yep. You know, and if you have examples to draw from in your own life, you know, that helps with the faith to know that this is so. Like, Nicole, for you, when you moved out and you got your appliances and you needed appliances, and you know what, you put it out there and you had faith in it, you found great appliances at a reduced price.
Yep.
But also, the other thing too is like you know, a person can have focus on negative and attract negative. So it is important to make sure you're focusing on positive. Because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know sometimes if something's happened, I can just stew for a while. You know, but that stewing time is getting shorter and shorter for me because I'm realizing how my focus is on something negative, and then that's just going to attract more negative to me, and that's not what I want. So sometimes it's just better to let go than to make a, you know, and just move on instead of giving all that negative energy to something.
I have something to say. Can I say something about focus also? Mm-hmm. We are 4 people here. Right now we are 4 people live. But in the future, it can be 4,000 or it can be 40,000, because this is recorded, and I really wish that Nicole can turn this into a course, a masterminding, a more, you know, upper level for the people who want to go to the next level. Because I'm seeing it is not something negative from all over the group, the other people in the group. But I'm seeing just 4 people here. So these people found the focus. You see, they found the focus today on everything which happens during the day. There are so many other things you could be doing right now, maybe with your family, with your kids, with your reading, your own stuff, so many things. And during this hour, you decided to focus on this. And that is what is going to bring you closer to reaching your goal. You see, so if you are in a mastermind of Nicole, or if you are somebody or giving you this opportunity, this is a priceless opportunity of the universe, because you could be reading this book but alone. If you read this book alone, there's no guide, there is no perspective, etc. Now, you got 1 hour a week and to be here to focus. It's your choice to go to all other things, watch the television, other thing. If you are investing it in your family, that is good. But if you are investing it in other things, or if you are taking this 1 hour and thinking about how bad your life is, then you are investing this 1 hour into not what you should focus on. So I'm seeing, because we are here 4 right now, but maybe there could be 4,000 listening to this. You, if you are 4,000 listening to this, that means that you have the focus. There are many, many other people who are not taking this hour. And by focusing, you are focusing to get more insights, and you are closer. And then maybe you, 4,000, you are up for the next level. And the next level can be, Nicole can tell you what the next level is.
And when you add knowledge to what you have, you give yourself more reasons to take the time out to focus. When you understand all of these things, like so far I've written down, this is what we've learned. The thought picture determines the outcome of infinite possibilities into matter. We have control over that. If we focus our thoughts, exercise the muscle of focus through meditation and other things, being in flow, we can master going from thought to matter. And then now we're talking about faith in the 4th paragraph, faith that the creative spirit is working through us.
Yep.
That's a whole other concept again that a lot of people haven't considered. And once they understand that concept, that will give them even more reason to set aside time to meditate and focus and think about the things they want and keep their mind off the things they don't want.
Nicole, and all other you, I would like to say this to you. I'm writing a book, and the I begin at the chapter 7. So the book begins at the chapter 7. I don't know why. I didn't know why, but I know why now. So when you have chapter 7, you go to chapter 6. So I just started chapter 6, and chapter 6 is knowing. So you cannot get, you will get to chapter 6. You will start in chapter 7, but you will get to chapter 6 when you know. You see, so I'm now at the knowing, and that doesn't mean I'm better than anybody, but I'm at the knowing. And I know also that there are level 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the monks, I know that those monks are at chapter 0. You see, they are level. So going back to the source, increasing your power, increasing your knowledge, increasing your focus, that means that you raise your energy. Now, for instance, if you want to meet Nicole, if I want to meet Nicole and exercise with Nicole and go a routine with Nicole in Australia, doing that, I'm at a much higher level then I'm closer to Nicole. Understand? So that means you have to, what I want to say is, you have to invest in yourself to come closer to the source, closer to people, because people will continue. It's like a mountain also, because when you are at the top, you need to climb, and the climb is the focus and the faith and the perseverance. But you will only reach that top if you climb. And the top has a higher vibration, and at the top, everything instantly turns into your desire. Synchronicity is much higher. You see, so there are people sitting below the top, below the mountain. They are not sitting. They are complaining about the mountain. There are people climbing the mountain. And when you climb, so Nicole, if you create a mountain for me, I will jump to go to that mountain to climb it. That's what I'm saying. I'm seeing your value, and I'm very, very grateful and thankful that you do this, because this is a weekly routine to just continue climbing. So thank you.
I like that illustration, and I think that when you sit still, your arms get tired and you start to slip down.
And you slip down because there is a gravity. The gravity of this society and this world. If you sleep, your arms get weaker, your legs get weaker, and do you know what is happening? The TV outside there, they are the gravity who pulls you down. So they don't want you, but there are some patterns that want you at ground zero. They want you at ground zero. Why? Because they can control you. Then they can sell you all kind of products and all kind of things. But up the top, you don't need anything, because up the top you are already creating everything your desire. Down the hill, it is like, okay, I need this. I'm not complete. Yeah, I'm not complete. I need this. I need to watch this television. I need to buy another course. I need to do this. Buy a course is always good if it is a good course who helps you climb the top. To climb to the top.
I think more importantly is that you apply what you're learning along the way. Having been one who's studied a lot of different stuff, I've come to realize that the information is similar in a lot of these things. I've just never bothered to apply any of it. So there's that, I always say there's a difference between knowledge and knowing. So I might have that knowledge, but I don't have that knowing because of the importance of action and application of the information.
Yeah, and that's the way we've been trained to learn. We've been trained to learn something and write it out on an exam. Okay, we have the understanding, we're done. We've never been trained to apply it.
Yeah.
In school, where you don't apply anything. You just learn it and you regurgitate it and you get an A if you remember it all.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is a whole different way of learning, and you don't really understand it until you apply it.
It's a different way of studying, because, like you said, study before meant know enough to pass the test. Now what I've learned is sometimes, I could read this chapter, but then it's like I might reread a paragraph and reread it so I'm like, oh, I get it. And there's times where I've had, I think like last week, I had a question mark beside a paragraph. And on the recording, because I wasn't here on the recording, Rooney asked, what do they mean by this? And it took you guys to explain to like, oh, I get it now. So yeah. It's a different kind of study. It's like we want to study to really apply it and change our lives. We just don't want to know enough to pass a test.
Yes, and you know what also is, it's a free choice. So by visiting, when you are visiting these masterminds, it means that you have chosen, you want to talk with other people and see the insights. You want a faster transformation, because you could be reading this in your own book, or you could be reading it on YouTube, and then okay, you start processing it. Maybe you can also, it is helpful. But some people have chosen to interact with other people, and some people will choose to go to also the next level. And the next level might be something like, okay, you wanted to create that. What are your steps? What are the routines you are willing to follow? You see, what are the steps you want to do this week, next week, and next week we will make you accountable. You see, so it is not reading for reading and discussing, but the best value you get when you really read this as a project. Your project is, I want to create this, so I'm willing. The week is too long. I want all the 52 weeks actually in 1 week, because I want to create this thing. You understand? So if you set your goal and you are eager for your desire, is your desire so compelling? Are you really, really loving your desire that you really want to say, like, I cannot wait until it is this Tuesday so that I can get more insights because I'm working every day on this thing. You understand? So that's
Yeah.
when you're looking at it like that. So this is not a reading group. This is not reading that book. This is just an update meeting in your creation. You are creating your desire, and we are here. That's my model, how I see it. We are here to just get inspired, to drink the water, you see, to take a rest. And the rest of the week, I'm just doing my routine and bringing it in practice, doing it. I'm climbing all the week. And this moment is just, okay, I meet people who are doing the same as I do. So Katie, my question is, what are you creating right now? What is your project you're creating? Because you're reading and you said, sometimes I read, sometimes I don't believe it. So what is your project? What is your, you see,
Well,
what is your creation?
I have my goal with my trading, and what I'm like listening to this or studying. It's like, you know, every time it's like I've been studying Bob Proctor, but it's like, you know, the action steps that I need to do daily, and it's not just taking action towards my goal, but it's the importance of the mind. That's what I'm realizing, and it's just like in chapter 4. You know, the second sentence, you know, well, first it says, you light up your desire with absolute faith. The creative spirit in you is doing the work. Then the next sentence is like, by the steady flow of the light of the will on the spirit, your desired picture is projected onto the screen of the physical world. And that's just it, the steady flow of the will. That means the steady flow of that thought. That's creating that burning desire.
Yes.
That, you know, and if you're thinking about that desire, what it is you want, that goal, it will manifest itself. But if you, I want the goal, but I'm going to go watch TV for 5 or 6 hours, and then I'm going to do a little of this, and then like, oh yeah, I'm going to read that goal this morning. See, check, I read my goal twice a day, so now it's going to happen. You know, wow. It's bigger than that, and that's, you know, I think about what Rhonda said about that tipping point, that 51%. And so the importance of you know, controlled thought, so that, you know, instead of my thoughts being all over the place, kind of, you know, like when I have waking moments, it's like thinking about our goal and thinking about the life we're going to have when we reach our goal and how great it's going to be and the things we're going to do. And it, you know, I'm controlling my thoughts instead of letting my environment control my thoughts.
Yeah.
You know,
Katie, that is very good. Katie, I just want to add that your thought is your thought, my brain, my mind. The mind is the power. So
yeah.
So in all those books, they are there teaching us the mind is the power. And do you know, if you have a powerhouse, my mind is my bank account. I have a bank account. My mind is my bank account. Do you know what it is? If you believe that my mind is my bank account, that means that you are laser focused. And if you want 50 million in your bank account in 5 years, it's going to happen because your mind is your powerhouse. So
right.
It is.
If it's focused towards that. But if you say, like, for example, if you were to say, okay, my goal is in 5 years, I'm going to have $50 million. And you know what? I'm going to, like, if you just take, like, say what even Napoleon Hill says, you know, read your goal out loud twice a day. You could go check, okay, I did that twice a day. You know, and what we're learning through the study, at least for me anyways, is, you know, just kind of like on a deeper level, that I can say my goal out loud twice a day. there's more to it. I mean, I can take action, but there's the desire there, and that desire comes through like the will and focusing my thoughts and growing my desire, and then, and having faith in it. So, I get a lot out of these calls because it helps me take the basic formula, like you could give to anyone. I think, Nicole, you had said that there is like a template of what you should daily do. And someone could just go through that. But, there's that kind of like deeper part of it. And that's what we get from our study. And that's what I get. And from this, it's like the importance of controlling my thoughts and getting that burning desire.
Katie, can I say something else? Okay, if you say you focus on the 50 million, so like I said, the thought, the mind is the power, my mind is my bank, my mind is my bank, my mind is my bank, my mind is my bank. So when you repeat that, it's like program, bank program, program B program. So when you think B program, my mind is my bank, that's already a focus. The second focus is, okay, now I have that bank, what am I going to do with that bank? $50 million in 5 years. You see, now you are laser focused again, you're using. Then the $50 million in 5 years, okay, for 10,000 people. You see, 10,000 people, I want to help 10,000 people for $50 million. Okay, that means I cannot now go for the beach. I can go for the beach, but I cannot go for the television, because my next step needs to be, okay, 10,000 in 5 years means 2,000 per year. You see, it means 2,000 per year. I need to help 2,000 people per year. If I divide that by 12, then I know how much per month, and I'm here. So this month, how much businesses do I need to help? 80. You see, or 40. I need to know that number. So I need to focus from the higher goal of 50 million. 50 million equals 10,000 people, to the goal of this month, which is 80, help 80 new people form their businesses. That means in this week, I need to do 4 people per day. You see, so you focus in the same flow, and then it starts going. So then your eyes will open more, because now you see, oh, 80 people in this month. What can I do? I can do this. So what I'm saying is, if you have I want to raise the trading figure. This is not a mastermind only around you. I'm taking some examples. If you want to say, I want $1 million in trading per year. What does that mean per month? What does that mean per week? And how, and ask and it shall be given. What do we need to do this week so I can get my target in trading? Do I need to hang around traders which are multi-million traders? Do I need to train myself? Do I need to, you see? So for me, it's easy, because I need businesses around that want to realize their dream. But for trading, I have no, maybe, Katie, maybe you need to train some traders, some junior traders. You need to train them so that you get a commission. So your knowledge about trading, etc. Maybe you need to train this week or this month. You need to train 5 traders, have a deal with them, train them so that they all bring their 90% for them, but 10% for you, or 50% for you, whatever. And then you reach your, you see, so I'm trying to get, like, maybe you are doing already a lot of reading, etc. But what is the action delivering your value so that you can get your value back? And the trading group, the KT trading group. If I'm a junior trader and I can learn from Katie how to trade in that business you're trading, and I can give my commission, and I get my money, I get the trading tools, etc. from you, but I need to give you 50%. I'm going to do it because I don't have your knowledge, and I'm going to give you 50% of my target. So you understand? What is
Yep.
it? What is it that you need to do? Because you cannot do it alone. Probably you cannot do it alone. You cannot, or maybe you can, but sometimes you cannot in your own get 1 million in trade or 2 million in trade, etc. Maybe you need to do other things. Okay,
Yeah.
that is just I think that's just a taste of I think when you are working laser beam on a thing. And I think, Nicole, you can also add something, because
Bernie,
when we have a, yeah,
I'm just going to be muted because I got someone at the door, so
yeah,
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Nicole, maybe you can say about the next. Yeah, I don't. Maybe you can say something about the next level, because this level is, of course, we are talking, but there are many other levels. All those people listening right now, there are many levels where you can raise your vibration, isn't it? And here we are not going to hold you accountable, but
So I think what we need to do with this chapter and the whole book is, once we've worked through, because we're doing one paragraph at a time today, once we've worked through each paragraph and determined what each paragraph means, is to what is the action we need to take to apply it. And that's what will get you to the next level, is taking the action.
Yeah.
Because then
that's a great idea.
You get to feel the results, and it's not until you feel the results that it's actually working for you and you're actually learning. You can't learn it by reading it.
no,
you need to understand
experience
it, apply it, and experience it. Yep. So in paragraph 4, we were talking about faith, and it's talking about how the creative spirit of life is working through us, and it says it's your desired picture that's projected onto the world. So even though it's a spirit working through us, our personal desired picture is what is translated into matter, not what the spirit determines, not some predetermined fate, but what we decide, and we can change it if we want to as well. So whatever we decide to focus on is what will be transformed into matter. So I can't think of a better way to live than to know that what we focus on we can actually create.
Yeah.
It's quite a phenomenal thing to even contemplate.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So we have to have faith that the spirit is working through us and transforming our own focus picture into matter.
Can I say something in picture to stress, to underline what you just said, on what you focus? Mm-hmm. Okay, it just happened to me. An angel went to hell and focused on the hell and became something that was not an angel, you see? And then when she focused again on heaven, she went to heaven and became an angel. So it's the angel, what she focuses on, determine what she is. You understand? Your consciousness. But if you just focus on hell around you, or things that are not going to happen, or things that are not, then you are creating it, because it's law.
Yeah.
And when the moment you focus again, so even if you are in hell, even if you are in hell, like your life is bad, wealth situation, health situation, relationships, the moment you start realizing that focusing on heaven, you're in hell, but the moment you realize in heaven, then you are destroying. You're not destroying the hell, because it will stay there for other people, but you are moving laser beamed out of hell. Bit by bit, every time you keep focus, you turn your head, you turn your back to hell, you will be moving in the direction of your light. So it's then, if you turn back your light and you focus on heaven, you will go to heaven. If you turn back and you focus on heaven, you go to heaven. Can you imagine that, your compass? What you're focusing on, and the rest is black. So if you don't turn your if you turn your back to your desire, then you're walking the opposite direction. And you are the willpower is I can turn. Willpower is I can turn. Even Mandela, he was in hell, but he turned his sight to the light, to his desire. And that's why he came out there. You understand? If he would have looked at the miserable situation, they would have broken him. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You have the willpower. You are the compass. You can turn. It is not a situation, the people around you, that determine who you are. No, you are turning and you are just walking. That's it.
Yep. In 5, 6, and 7, the next 3 paragraphs, she's talking about a woman who came to her for help whose husband had left her. And basically she told her to focus on, what did she say? Follow the great power of intuition, and think of her husband as perfectly free and in the embodiment of all that a husband should be. So she didn't tell her that she could have power over her husband. She told her to use her intuition and imagine her husband in his best possible way, and herself as well. And eventually her husband came back after a couple of times of having to be told to get her mind focused again and use her will to keep her mind in that. And if he hadn't have come back, I would say that she would have found someone else who made her happy, because her focus wasn't on controlling the husband. It was on seeing him at his true self and seeing her at her true self and seeing love and joy. And I don't think that story is about controlling the husband. I think it's about finding love and joy, whether it was a husband coming back or whether it was a new person.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was expecting, is that she was going to find somebody else.
Yeah, I was too. Because then when the husband came back, I thought, oh, that's going to be sending mixed messages to some people, because although you probably do have a little bit of sway over someone if your focus is stronger, I wouldn't be encouraging people to force people back into their lives.
No, exactly.
They want to be.
Yeah, and it was funny because I being the critical person that looks at logic all the time, I'm going, well, there's no way that he would have got divorced and remarried in a month.
Yeah.
and then come back to her, only give it like 2 months with this new woman, and then come back to her. I'm thinking, oh, this is so silly, kind of, because of the time frames. But I'm sure she wasn't really meaning a month. It was just kind of a period of time.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. So yeah, I think she was just telling her to imagine and focus on her perfect happiness, and she ended up with. So.
On what it was that she wanted. That she wanted a husband that would be a good husband.
Yeah.
Right.
And then in the last sentence of paragraph 7, she says, visualizing without a will sufficiently steady to inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to your picture thought would be as useless as a magic lantern without a light. So that's pretty full on, isn't it?
It really is, isn't it?
To inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to it.
Yeah, so you know what? That really tells us that we really have to control our thoughts and our, like, really stop thinking about what it is that we don't want. And the lack mentality, you really have to control that.
Yeah, we really have let our minds run wild, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's going to take a period of time to rein it back in.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that we can let go of the frustrations when we realise that, because it is going to take some time. Like, you can't expect to go to the gym and lift what the bodybuilders are lifting.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And yeah, the frustration, I think, has to be inhibiting as well.
Yeah.
Because again, that's a lack mentality again.
Yep.
On its own, all by itself, which is just strengthening the rest of the lack mentality, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, where are we?
We're just about to start on paragraph 8, which is on the next page.
I just have a quick question about this woman. Because to me, you know, I get the intuition and focus on your goal, but I would have thought that she would say, just on a, like, don't even like attach what it is you want on your husband specifically, but just on what you want, you know, in the man, because
yeah, we
you know what I'm saying? Like, what if a better guy came along?
Yeah, we agree with you on that. We were just talking about that.
Okay.
And I think that she did ask her to hold in her mind her perfect happiness. So whether it was her husband coming back or another man coming along, or even being happy on her own.
Okay.
Yeah, because we thought maybe that could give the wrong impression to people to just hold their own happiness in another person. But
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in agreement.
Yep.
So we're on the next page then.
Yep.
I love this paragraph.
Do you want to read it for us again, and then we'll talk about it?
Oh, sure. Visualizing without a will sufficiently steady to inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to your pictured thought would be as useless as a magic lantern without the light. And again, it's like having that, you know, the focus on what it is you do want. It's about not waffling. You know, I forget the terminology that we read in other books, but, you know, where you control your thoughts to some degree, because otherwise, if, like I said, if you waffle, it's not, you've just neutralized it. Like nothing's going to happen.
I mean, we're just saying how really strict that sounds, because it says inhibit every thought and feeling contrary to your pictured thought.
Well, it says, okay, visualizing without a will sufficiently steady to inhibit every thought and contrary to pictured thought would be as useless. Yeah, I go back to the tipping point. You know, and in Qigong, there's a master healer here that I like, Master Lin, and he always, because I tend to be a little literal, and he has a phrase, it's like good, better, best. So, you know, this might be the best, like every time something pops in, replace it with positive thoughts or whatever. That might be best. But to me, good is like if you got that 51%, you got that tipping point, it's all good. It's coming.
Yeah.
But can I say something? If you have the 51%, in the 49%, the rest of the 49%, you cannot be creating hell. Because it's not something like, okay, if I have 51%, then I'm good. And the rest of the time, I'm going to think about bad stuff. Because when you think about bad stuff, that means that there are bad thoughts coming to you. And then you multiply that, and then you will become the 49% can become 60%. You see, so that's why they are saying, like Nicole said, everything else doesn't exist. Only your desire. That's 100% commitment.
Yeah, I just want to read what Christos has put into the group chat because it's a really good point. It's having your focus and thoughts on your goal, not allowing any deviation, having the faith that it takes will materialize. Any lack of faith and the light flickers, and that's what she talks about as well.
Yep.
With the will, it's like the light can't stay steady, so it can't project the picture correctly to create the matter. So you've got to maintain that focus, and you need to keep on topic.
Yep, and I think Napoleon Hill says when you're not working, like have all your spare time focused on your goal and working
Katie,
towards your goal and visualizing your goal.
Katie, I have one. The only time you are not you can rest is during your sleep. No, yes.
Yeah.
So the only time, not you, but that's my mind. That's my
Right.
mindset. That's where I want to get. When I'm awake, I'm creating my dream life. That's it. Every day I wake up. You know what my first saying is? Every day I wake up is I say it to my wife also. Yes, another day in paradise. Another day in paradise. Because paradise means I'm creating everything. It's
Yep.
creation. I'm alive. I'm conscious. When I'm conscious, I'm like a plant or I'm like a fish. I'm lasered on what I'm going to do. A lion, whatever. Lasered on what I'm going to do. Animals, they don't worry about their paycheck, anything. We can learn from animals. We can learn from fish. Here in the Caribbean, I snorkel and I look at the fish and I said, wow, you guys are very lasered, focused. If a fish chases another fish, then after 3 seconds, they don't chase each other anymore, but they go to their natural state. So what does that mean? And a tree is better. So trees are better than fish because the tree can only do what it is here to do, grow. So we people, we have a lot of other possibilities, unlimited possibilities, more than the tree maybe. And we are now, and now we have problems with all that choice. You see, we have problems with all the choice. So only when I am sleeping, then I'm not creating. So I'm not creating hell. When I'm sleeping, I'm taking a rest. But when I'm awake, I'm doing it. So there is a guy, Nicole can tell you about him. He says, Nicole told me that guy reads, he sleeps only for 2 hours. Why? Because when he's awake, he's so laser focused that he's reading 5 books. Nicole, I think you can tell us that story later on Facebook or whatever. But
you told us before about him. Some guy she's studying from.
yes. So only 2 hours. So the guy doesn't want, basically the guy doesn't want to sleep 8 hours anymore, but he wants to use his mind 6 hours extra. You see?
Wow.
So it's 6 hours extra. So it only takes rest 2 hours. Why? Because he's laser focused. So going back, the 49% is very dangerous because the tipping point is okay. Get over the tipping point for 51, but try to reach 100. Try to control your mind 100%.
Well, I think 100. I mean, we all have jobs to do and things that we need to do, but outside of that, and I think that the key thing is like in the next paragraph it goes, if your will is sufficiently developed to bold your picture in thought and feeling without any ifs.
Yeah.
That I think is huge. So it's not so much that your mind is focused elsewhere because that might happen, what have you. But I think I think what she's saying is the faith that what you don't want to do is have your goal, visualize, and then doubt. Visualize and then doubt. I mean, it's one thing if you visualize, but then, hey, I'm going out for dinner and I'm with friends and I'm having a good time, and then I'm back to visualizing, thinking about my goal. That's different than I'm visualizing and then I'm like, what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm not good enough? I think that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Christos was referring to as well with the flickering light. It's like not having a certainty. So in this paragraph here, I think what we need to do is get clear on our values, because that helps us make with clarity.
Sorry.
And once we've made the decision and we know our purpose and our goals, then we can stay focused. If we're not certain on where we're heading in our life and what our outcomes and desires are, we can't have that certainty to maintain that forward focus. We're going to be looking all over the place and doubting ourselves. So we need to get clear in our mind and put it down on paper, make the decisions. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then we can have that laser focus without uncertainty and the flickering of the light.
And the last sentence of the paragraph, it is as necessary that you should always have back of your picture a strong, steady will as it is to have a strong, steady light back of the picture. But again, it's that strong, steady will. It's that certainty. It's that faith. And, maybe studying a little bit on self-control and focus and concentration wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. So Nicole,
a question. Nicole, a question.
I'm going to keep moving forward, Brini, because I've got
sorry.
We're only about halfway through. So
okay, sorry. Okay.
I'll be the big meanie. So paragraph 9, the joyous assurance with which you make your picture is a very powerful magnet of faith. Here comes that faith again. And nothing can obliterate it. You are happier than you ever were because you have learned to know that your source of supply is, and you rely upon its never failing response to the direction you give it. So we are the ones who give source direction to create.
Yep.
And the magnet that we have is our faith in that.
The faith and the I think also the will and the amount.
That's a different perspective. Very interesting.
So it's coming down to, we're kind of narrowing this down to being clear, maintaining our thoughts and not thinking about negativities and doubts, limiting beliefs about ourselves, and being able to maintain focus.
Yep.
So I think we need to get pad and paper out, get clear on what we want, start meditating to build our focus muscle, and make sure that we have a strong faith in the fact that Source is working through us.
Yep. Like this morning, our football team played last night and we won. And I was telling my husband, just think how great it's going to be, like when we're in Florida, and then, we'll fly back for the weekend to come to some of the football games. Go get some season tickets and sell the ones we don't want to go to, and the others just, it's just going to be great. Something else I've added into our picture, because it is going to happen.
Yeah, and we need to remember that we have to. And I know we shouldn't say have to, but if we want to be happy, we need to schedule into our lives things that we enjoy. Go for a walk on the beach, go to the football game, go on, watch it.
Go to the movies.
Yeah, go to the movies and spend time with family and do the things that you want to do. Go four-wheel driving or camping, or you need to schedule those things in as well, because that's what life's all about. If you do just spend all your time sitting in your office studying and meditating on your goal, there's something missing.
Yep. And remember what we read in The Power about the importance of feeling good.
Yeah.
So it's not just raise your vibration for that specific item, it's just raise your vibration, period. And you attract more things that are on that upper vibrational level. So having balance in our life, having things that bring us joy, going for walks, going for movies, football games, whatever it is, you can't be single focused. You have to have balance and have things in your life that make you feel good and, make you vibrate higher.
Yeah, exactly. So then she goes on to talk about a couple of examples of, a businessman who had the practice of visualizing his business as it was and as he wanted to expand it, and he was able to cause that expansion to happen. And it's always good to read about examples. I had a woman who I know whose husband is in the building trade, and he wasn't getting any work, and I spoke to her about visualization, and she liked the idea, so she went home and spoke to her husband about it, and he started visualizing having lots of work. And I'm surprised that he took it on, because usually, from my experience anyway, I don't like to cliche people, but men in the building industry, they're tough blokey blokes and they don't get into hairy fairy type stuff. he visualized having a lot of work, and in the last 2 months he's had more work than he can poke a stick at.
Hmm.
And I just love that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And one point that I want to make on this paragraph is that he's not visualizing this morning, noon, and night, right? Like, so he's just doing it every morning.
Yep.
And then, so this is kind of telling us that yes, we have to focus on our goal, but we don't have to be focusing on it every minute of the day. And I believe what Abraham says too, is that you just ask and then you just let go of it and just trust that it's going to manifest itself, right?
And I think a lot of what she's teaching us here is contradictory thoughts. So it wouldn't work for him if he spent that time doing that, and then he spent the whole day stressing about all of the things that could go wrong, because that
Right.
he'll be manifesting.
Right. Exactly.
And him doing it in the morning, it's like he's asking, he's setting the intention for the day.
Yeah.
He goes about his work and the universe responds because he has faith. You know, he asked, he has faith. You know, he visualized, he put it out to the universe, and he went to work and he took action, and the business grew.
Yeah. And he saw himself doing the things that he required of himself for the business to grow. He didn't just visualize the money that he would have in the bank at the end of it. He saw himself speaking to the people and understanding their needs, and the way that things came together for him in his business and the way that it expanded. So he, like in the paragraph towards the end of that story where he says, furthermore, thus mentally seeing things as he wished them to be, he had acquired the confident feeling that a certain creative power was exercising itself for him and through him for the purpose of improving his little world. So I think a key thing there is the confident feeling. Like he just believed that through him doing that practice, that the creative power was exercising itself through him.
Yeah. So she's really emphasizing faith.
Yeah.
There again.
Yep.
Well, even the paragraph before it said, this habit, he said, had strengthened and steadied his will in an almost inconceivable manner. So, you know,
kind of like developing it. Right,
say that again, Kelly?
So like developing his will or allowing it to support him in developing his will.
Yep.
Yeah, so I would say he was applying what he obviously had learnt from someone would work, and then as it began to work, that strengthened his will, and then he did it more, and it became a habit.
Yep. And a belief.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sometimes I feel like I get a little mixed up between what's my will and what somebody else's will is the difference between the two, because when I get around other people, you know, it's natural to be inspired by ideas and things like that. And because if it's something that, you know, it happens to be something that is for me to pick up on, or that stimulates my whatever it is that I'm after or into wanting to expand and grow with. But yet at the same time, it can end up being, I have to discern the difference between, well, is this something for me that I'm being called to, or is this really somebody else's that I just happen to be inspired by?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And I've just gone through and numbered the paragraphs. So in paragraph 16, which is the second last one, she says, just simply try to realize that your picture is an orderly exercise of the universal creative power specifically applied. Then you may be sure that no one can work in opposition to you. The universal law of harmony prevents that. I know that's not exactly what you were talking about, Kelly, but I think you realize what thoughts are yours when there's the desire behind it. If you feel a desire for something, then you know it's yours. And this is telling you that once you find that thought, nothing can work in opposition to you, because that desire feeds the vision, and it's spirit that's bringing it forth, and spirit can't bring it forth in you and not allow it to come forth at the same time.
Mm. And makes sense, and that's why sometimes I have to sleep on something if I can't let it go. It's like sleep on it.
Well, and it's true. I mean, you know, if you don't have a goal or something you're aspiring to or whatever, you're kind of an open vessel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, as Bob says, you know, most people are going to die being an extra in their own movie. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what this one is saying, is that, you know, if you're the main character in your movie, then, you know, other people, you know, won't affect you, because you know you have your will, you have your goal, you're moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of us are open vessels to be fed and controlled and manipulated by other people to some degree.
Right. Transparency.
Yeah, because what does Source use to bring about our desires? It uses inspiration of thought, circumstances, and other people.
Right, good point.
So are we going to be the extra that's being used for someone else's desire, or are we going to put our own desires forth?
Good point.
We'll still probably be used because we'll probably still be used for other people's manifestations, but it's from what I've learnt, it's always in a way that benefits ourselves as well.
If you have the wherewithal, you know, because, I mean, if you know what your goal is, then you might help someone else out. It might help them, but it doesn't deviate from your. But there are, you know, then there's other people who, you know, who sap you of your energy because, you know, you're always helping them. And the end effect is you're not moving forward because they're, you know, an endless cesspool of need.
Right.
If you allow.
Sorry, go ahead.
What's that, Cheryl?
I was just going to add into there that a good example of us being a part of somebody else's goals is meeting a soulmate, right? So like that's a really obvious one where we are involved in somebody else's goals and desires, or we are used for somebody else's goals to come true. So, you know, there are good ways that we are part of somebody else's goals, not right, not just, it's not always bad.
If you want it, like say this guy that you had met wanted you to, you know, move up north with him. You know, it's like it's like, you know what your goal is.
Right.
Now, if you were someone who was insecure and didn't know, you might just go for the security of it. So it has to be win-win, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
And that's what I meant too, is that, you know, it can work both ways, right? That where you are you've got your goals and intentions and dreams, and you want to be in control of that, but also at the same time somebody else will play a part, or may play a part in, you might play a part in somebody else's goals and dreams.
Yep. This next paragraph, I had a big question mark beside it. Kind of a long one, but I'm not sure what it all meant.
Do you want to read it out?
Sure. Endeavor to bear in mind that your mental picture is universal mind, specifically exercising its inherent powers of initiative and selection. God, or universal mind, made man for the special purpose of differentiating himself through him. Everything there is came into existence in this same way, by the same law of self-differentiation and for the same purpose. First came the idea, the mental picture or the prototype of the thing, which is the thing itself in its incipiency. Okay, that sentence I got. The great architect of the universe contemplated himself as manifesting through his polar opposite matter. And the idea expanded and projected itself until we have not only a world, but many worlds. I was like scratching my head.
Yeah.
Still a little bit.
Yeah. I understand the differentiation part, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's understand this first sentence first, because it's kind of difficult to understand. Endeavour to bear in mind that your mental picture is universal mind, specifically exercising its inherent powers of initiative and selection. Probably need to read two sentences. God, or universal mind, made man for the special purpose of differentiating himself through him. So what, to me, and everyone put in what they think, what that means is that as a consciousness, we were created in physical form for God or universal mind to be able to focus through each one of us and gain a different perspective to be able for the expansion of the universe and self. So,
And Nicole, I think that Wallace Waddell said the same thing in The Science of Getting Rich, that universal mind is living through us, right?
yeah, and it's really quite difficult for us to contemplate our mind being able to focus through. How many of us are on the planet at the moment?
Yeah, 7 billion.
Yeah, all at once.
Yeah.
But if you think of universal mind as, it's an infinite supply, so it's almost like your mental picture is universal mind, specifically exercising its inherent power of initiative and selection. I mean, I guess to me, if I had to interpret that, I would say that, we're each individuals, and there's a universal supply there, an infinite supply, and so your thoughts form a specific, a specific image, goal, whatever you want to call it. The next person has his own. There's an infinite supply, and we're each forming our own worlds. I don't know. Maybe I'm full of it.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. And through each of us, the infinite mind or universal mind can experience several different perspectives.
Well, in the second sentence where it says, God or universal mind made man for the special purpose of differentiating himself from him. So again, universal, unlimited supply, ether, infinity, but it's like each one of us, because of our thoughts and genetics or whatever, have differentiated that universal, that infinite source of supply into tangible humans. We're differentiating that universal supply through each of us. Each one of us is unique.
Yeah.
And forming, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So himself through him is like each one of us.
Yeah.
Separating the endless pool, the ether, into things. Okay, so far I kind of get it.
And we try so hard to be the same, and we don't want to be different and stand out, and we try to take on the perspective of other people to fit in, whereas the whole purpose we'll put here is to have different perspectives and be individuals and create unique lives.
Self-differentiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything there is came into existence in the same way by this self-same, man, this is really a mouthful, tongue twister, by the self-same law of self-differentiation and for the same purpose. First came the idea, we all had the ideas, the mental pictures, or the prototype of the thing, which is a thing itself in its incipiency.
And what does incipiency mean?
Inception, the beginning.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're probably right.
So this is the first idea where we came
Right.
from, the universal mind's first idea, mental picture of us, I guess, the
Of
prototype.
yep. Everything, whether you have a goal, first comes the thought.
Mm.
Have the idea, and then you develop a mental picture. You kind of have the prototype of the thing, which is the thing itself, which is, because everything starts with thought, and that's the inception, and from there it gets manifested. Because then it goes, the great architect of the universe contemplated himself as manifesting through his polar opposite matter, which is the physical. And the idea expanded and perfected itself until we have not only a world, but many worlds.
Yeah, so really we're just...
And that can mean so many things, because I don't know if he physically means worlds, or if he just means like we're each an individual world, or what have you.
I think most of us are in our own little world.
Yes, we all have our bubbles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, we are just an extension of universal mind, each one of us. We are the matter that that is being used to what's the word I'm looking for? Express.
Yep.
And we have to remember that that's very same energy that universal mind used to conceive the idea and bring it into matter is the very same energy that we have control over in our head, that we can form into a picture. And that's a huge thing, and it's really faith. It does. I know why she's mentioning faith so many times in this chapter, because that's what it comes down to. We have that very same power.
Yep.
And focus, because we just have no idea what focus is really, do we? We have just
I think that's really what we have to work on is the focus and the trust. Hey.
Yeah. I'm wondering if part of the Think and Grow Rich group, because, Napoleon Hill wrote, the laws of success and the master key to riches, and he talked about some of the different traits, and he has, I think, concentration, some of the things that I don't know if they're specifically in Think and Grow Rich, and so maybe, just an idea, but maybe we want to take a couple of those chapters and add them to our study, so it's more complete. Anyways, just off topic, sorry.
Or we can refer to them, like just bring them in. If something comes up, like Napoleon Hill says, focus on what you want and keep your mind off what you don't want. That's completely relevant.
Yeah. And you know what just came to mind just before we started this last little bit was when we were talking about the, having the faith and the trust and the focus, is that if we truly, truly have faith, then there would be absolutely no reason to focus on our current circumstance and be thinking about what we don't want.
Yeah.
There would be no reason, because you would know that it's going to be a thing of the past when your goals and dreams come to fruition. So there would be no reason to even think about it if you truly have faith.
Yeah. And that's where we have to do what this gentleman who was visualizing his business, and he slowly came to have trust in the process because he experienced it. So, slowly spending more time focusing on our goals and visualizing them each day, and slowly trusting the process, and then we'll start to see things happen, and then we'll trust more. I think it's a building process.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you start small. It's funny because we had new neighbors that moved in, and they moved in right before we went on our trip. So it's been a month. They're a young couple with 2 little kids, and she's pregnant. And I was thinking, it's like how, we're going into fall. It's like I'm wondering how I'm going to meet them. She shows up at my door because a package was accidentally delivered here, which it wasn't. But it's so funny because I had put the idea out, Yeah, when you think about it, you know, like it's not funny because I did put the idea out, like, how am I going to meet her? The universe answered. Met my neighbor. That's, you know, when I got off the phone, it was like, oh, this is just, you know, so you have faith. If you look at little things that have happened in your life that verify that, yeah, this actually does work. If we're aware, if we give more awareness to what's going on in our lives, we'll see that, how we've put ideas out there or whatever, and they've come back and answered us. A woman in my mastermind, she cleaned out her gym in her home. She cleaned out her gym, and she doesn't go to the gym anymore. She has a little gym in her house, and she cleaned it all out. And she was like, you know, she really enjoyed spinning classes. And she told me last week that her next door neighbor said, you know, I bought this spinning bike for $750, but I never use it, so I'm gonna sell it online for $100. And she was like, you know, vacuum love prosperity. It's just here we go. So it's like you just look for those little examples that have happened repeatedly, good and bad. Because there's times where when bad stuff happens, if we look at our thoughts, like, I see where I drew this to myself. So you can see it, how it's worked, good and bad. Because it works good and bad. It's where you put your thought. So
that's a very good point. It's like something that I have to kind of really give a lot of attention to right now because of what I've attracted to my experience, to the point where now it's like I got to communicate with my body differently to become better in harmony. It's like, okay, what's it going to take? You know, what's going to be helpful information here for me so that I can move forward and not just be stagnant with anything else going on.
Yep.
Yeah, and if we don't keep our eyes out for it, we do miss it. And we miss the little strikes of intuition as well.
Yeah.
We don't act on them. So we're missing things that have happened that we should, you know, think about and realize and use to build our faith. And we miss the things that can happen because we're not listening to them.
Yeah. Last night I went to Qigong in a neighboring town, and she does it every 2 weeks, and she's an intuitive healer, and she does Qigong healing and all that. And she has these classes like twice a month, and I haven't been since like 2.5 years, and I liked what she was doing, and I thought, you know, I put it on my calendar, I'm going to go, and then I could hear the talk. Well, you know, blah, blah, blah. I just kind of stopped. Something said, do it. And I just go, you know what? You're right. I said I wanted to go. I'm going to commit, and I'm going to go, and I'm so glad I did. Instead of giving in to the, well, I'm tired, I'm still coughing. But I went, and it was wonderful. So,
yeah.
The next paragraph, you know, many people ask, but why should we have a physical world at all? I was like scratching my head, like, what? That it is the nature. So that's where I thought, maybe I don't understand this previous paragraph. Because it is the nature of originating substance to solidify under directivity rather than activity, just as it is the nature of wax to harden when it becomes cold, or plaster of Paris to become firm and solid when exposed to the air. That one was like, I don't know if I really get it, so I just kind of like, whatever. I get the gist of most of this chapter. It just kind of confused me. I don't know if anyone has a clear answer, but is it because the universe started with the original thought of having a physical world? And so because the thought was planted, it had to solidify.
Maybe. and to be able to express self in a fuller way.
Yep.
I've got to jump off, so I'm going to let you guys go through the last couple of paragraphs.
Okay.
And then I'll come back and shut it down later.
Alrighty, Nicole.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Okay, so the last 3 paragraphs, let's just go through them. So it's like, okay,
sure.
Your divine is the same divine substance in its original state, or your picture is the same divine substance in its original state. taking form through the individualized center of divine operation in your mind. And there is no power to prevent this combination of spiritual substance from becoming physical form. It is the nature of spirit to complete its work, and an idea is not complete until it's made for itself a vehicle. So that's, again, when you have the thought, and you have the faith, and the desire, and the will, because you're thinking about the thought, spirit has no choice but to complete it, to manifest it into physical matter.
Yeah. And it's almost like the first line, your picture is this same divine substance in its original state.
Again, it's ether.
It must be, hey?
Energy, and, you know, you're taking part of that. You're part, you know, where he's differentiating himself through him. It's ether, and you're taking, you know, you have that idea, and you're taking, you know, what's in its original state, and you're forming it into matter.
Taking form through.
Yes, there's no power to prevent this combination of spiritual substance from becoming physical form.
Yeah, so that's pretty much saying that it has to manifest, doesn't it?
With faith. Now, if you start waffling with the if and all that we learned earlier, then it goes, nothing can prevent your picture from coming into concrete form except the power which gave it birth, yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what we learned earlier, that if you start like feeling like, well, what if, and having doubts, then it won't. And that's exactly what it's saying here. The only thing that's stopping your goal from coming true is you.
Right. And that's where the saying, get out of your own way, comes from.
Excellent. I'm going to write that down. Get out of your own way. Last paragraph. Suppose you wish to have a more orderly room. You look about your room, and the idea of order suggests boxes, closets, shelves, and so forth. The box and the closet and the hooks are all concrete ideas of order, because they are the vehicles through which order and harmony suggest themselves.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's representing the concept. Those material things are representing the concept of order. I never thought about it that way.
So you have the idea of the orderly room. And, you know, there's things out there that have already been, you know, made, but, you know, the hooks, you're seeing how you want the room to be, and then you get those items.
Yeah, then you get the items, and that's the taking of the action.
Yep. And organizing the room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty neat analogy too, isn't it? Of what the steps are. First, you visualize. You have the idea that you want. You desire the orderly room. Then you find your way steps, right? By getting the items, and that is taking the action.
Desired outcome.
Yeah, for the desired outcome. That's pretty cool.
Perfect.
So
we
wanted to take some action from what we learned, right? Put it into action over the next week. And I think this chapter was telling us to increase our focus, right?
Yeah.
And raise our awareness of things that are manifesting into our life to increase our faith. Does that kind of seem like what we want to, how we want to be? You guys?
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I like that you added that action item, kind of increase our faith. Could you write that out and put it in the Facebook group, not the Facebook, I'm sorry, the Skype group.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so that way so you're basically saying that this week let's increase our focus on our goal, increase our awareness of what we're manifesting, which will increase our faith.
All right. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, I'll put it in the Skype.
That's awesome. Great call.
Yeah, right on, you
Yeah.
guys. And Callie, it was nice to hear from you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Yeah. I'm glad I was able to tune in.